There are no willows on the banks, no early morning breeze and lingering moon, no wine asked to the blue sky, no Qingming River Map. A unlucky writer suddenly realized that he seemed to have come to the fake Song Dynasty. His family was in decline, and his relationships were as thin as paper. Outside, there are the mighty soldiers of the Great Liao Dynasty, and inside, there are countless pig teammates. The Yellow River is surging, and God has come to cause trouble. No matter how many difficulties there are, they are just paper tigers. When faced with difficulties, iron bars sweep across, difficulties increase, and iron bars thicken. Heroic generals, there will eventually be a time for revival. Reader Group 2844276642, looking forward to your visit. Keywords of the novel. De Song Jiangmen. No pop-ups. Download the complete TXT collection of De Song Jiangmen, and read the latest chapters of De Song Jiangmen. Chapter 1. Sister and Brother. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 1. Sister and Brother. Damn it, why did you fall asleep? Wang Ning'an shook his head vigorously, feeling extremely regretful. He had just promised the reader that he would explode, and he fell asleep in a daze. Isn't he looking for scolding? Help me up quickly, I need 10,000 more words. Wang Ning'an struggled and shouted, using all his strength to open his eyes. His black eyes looked around and he instantly became foolish. Although the renovation of the rented house is not very good, at least the windows are clean and the newly replaced light bulbs are full of light. How could it be so dark? Looking harder, he was even more surprised. On the black and red wooden table, there was an oil lamp that shone like a bean, shining less than a meter away like a firefly. The lamp shadows sway, the wooden furniture projects onto the wall, constantly swaying, and the wind rustles the window paper. It's like a haunted house. Wang Ning'an was shocked and lost his color, and his heart spoke of an illusion. Quickly raising his hand and rubbing his eyes, when he raised his hand in front of him, he was even more stunned. His thin arms, dirty hands, and chicken feet were like what a big man should have. Has it been time traveling? I just wrote some travel novels, but I didn't really want to travel. Wang Ning'an let out a loud cry of grief, but was so scared that he fainted. He had a strange dream. In the dream, he was a descendant of the Song Dynasty, living in Tuda village, Sangzhou, Hebei province. He was just 11 or 12 years old, the son of the Wang family. It is said that the ancestors of the Wang family were still military generals, very prominent. Although in decline, it is still the largest household in the village, especially with 4 generations living together, full of blessings, making the villagers envious and drooling. The great-grandmother of Wang Ning'an is in charge. She is already in her 70s, but she still has no hearing loss or blurred vision. She can eat 2 large bowls of food every meal and walks with great enthusiasm. Everyone in the Wang family must obey the old lady and speak without hesitation. The old lady had a son who died on the battlefield a few years ago when she fought against the Western Xia with the army of the Song Dynasty. Only one wife, Wang Ning'an's grandmother, was left behind. She lost her husband in pain and couldn't get up, crying and blinding her eyes. Although he survived, he recited scriptures and worshipped Buddha all day long. At the end of the day, he couldn't say 3 words, much like a wooden man. In the 3rd generation, the population suddenly prospered. There are 4 sons in total, and the eldest son is Wang Liangqian, the uncle of Wang Ning'an. When he was young, the Wang family was relatively wealthy, and the uncle was also a playboy. Later, the family declined, and he was not good enough. A few years ago, the aunt was angry to death, leaving only the uncle alone. The second son's name is Wang Liangjun. Among the children of the Wang family, he is considered a smart person and has been studying. He wants to take the path of the imperial examination, expand his family, and revitalize the Wang family. The third person's name is Wang Liangjin. He went out to do business a few years ago and there was no news for a long time. His family almost forgot about him. As for Lao Si, who is Wang Ning'an's cheap father, his name is Wang Liangjing. Unlike his second brother, he focuses on practicing martial arts and wants to revive the Wang family. However, in the era of high literary and martial arts, the family did not have much confidence in him. A month ago, Wang Ning'an's maternal grandfather was critically ill and sent someone to deliver the news. His wife was going to see the old man for the last time, and Wang Liangjing naturally wanted to follow. Sangzhou is located on the border, and the people are fierce. The bandits on the road are not joking. When my parents went out, there were 3 children left at home. Wang Ning'an, a younger sister, and a younger brother. Bo Nyang had long been disgusted with the 4th family. Wang Ning'an was already in his teens, and the children of other families had already gone to work in the fields. He even wandered around the world, digging bird nests and fishing in the river. He was full of mischievous rascals and naturally filled with resentment, so he ordered Wang Ning'an to release horses for his family. Wang Ning'an is already stubborn and has never done any farm work before. How could he calm down and let go of his horse? A few days later, one noon, Wang Ning'an tied his horse to a tree and went down the river to catch fish. When he returned, the horse disappeared. Although Sangzhou is located on the border, adjacent to the Great Liao, and the price of the horse is not as exaggerated as in the capital, 3 or 4 guan coins are always needed. For the Wang family, this was not a small sum of money. Naturally, he was enraged up and down. The second aunt took him to the ancestral temple, holding a 3-foot-long wooden board and pounding it with a thud. Although not the water and fire stick of the Yamen, hitting a young man can still be fatal. Wang Ning'an's back, buttocks, and thighs are all red and swollen scars, with some areas oozing fresh blood and skin and flesh torn, so pitiful. Lying on the bed, Wang Ning'an's mind was filled with another version. Although he was playful, he also knew that horses were an important property of the family. He was careless and always paid attention when letting them go, not daring to let them out of his sight. Only on the day he lost his horse. My cousin Wang Ninghong, who has been studying in a private school, suddenly returned and told him that someone had caught 12 pounds of big fish in the river, urging Wang Ning'an to go down the river to fish. Wang Ning'an was worried about losing the horse and hesitated a bit, but his cousin patted his chest and said that if he had watched, the horse would not have been lost. Wang Ning'an thought it was the same thing and went to play happily. When he returned, the horse and cousin were gone. He went crazy searching everywhere, shouting and breaking his throat, running away with broken grass shoes. But found nothing. He thought his cousin would lead a horse home, but when he got home, he met the ferocious second uncle's mother. When he heard that the horse was lost, he immediately pulled him to the temple. The young man wouldn't admit it. He loudly argued that it was his cousin who came back and promised to help him release his horse before going down to the river to catch fish. The second aunt fought even harder. Wang Ninghong is her son, her precious little one. He is honest, obedient, intelligent, and eager to learn. He studies hard every day. How could he get together with Pai Monkey and even help you ride a horse? Why is his face so big? Lie without finding a good excuse. It's clear that you lost your horse by being playful. If you dare to lie and falsely accuse your own son, you should be beaten even more. After a beating with a stick, Wang Ning'an lost half of his life. The night was cold and cool, and Wang Ning'an stared with black and bright eyes, without any drowsiness. I was wronged. Wang Ning'an clenched his fist and squeezed out a sentence from between his teeth. He was not talking nonsense. In his previous life, he lived in a village before attending high school. A village, just 110 households. It's not like living in a building. Even if it's opposite the door, there's not much interaction, and you don't even know your name. I have lived in the small village for a long time, and everyone knows the root and bottom of it. Everyone knows who is good, who is bad, and who likes to steal and be petty. It's all clear. If you lose something, you can always guess who stole it. A horse, not a bracelet or ring, can fit on the body. How could it be that there are working villagers in the fields, mountains, and forests on both sides of the village who cannot see such a big goal? How could they not tell the people of the Wang family? Furthermore, that horse has been in the Wang family for 5 or 6 years and has become its owner. It is absolutely impossible for outsiders to easily lead it away. After careful consideration, the horse was not lost at all, but taken away by someone. The biggest suspicion is his cousin Wang Ning'an. He encouraged himself to fish, made it clear to support himself, and led the horse away. They were all family members, and the villagers didn't care. It must be like this. But the question is, why did he take away the horse and deliberately frame himself? Let Yang give herself a hard lesson. Wang Ning'an was puzzled for a long time. The more he did this, the more he wanted to find out the truth and clear himself up. As soon as I crossed over, I put on the hat of a spendthrift. I'm sorry, I won't carry this blame. Wang Ning'an kept pondering until the latter half of the night when he fell into a deep sleep. It was unknown how long had passed, and his cheeks were warm, as if a small dog was licking him. Wang Ning'an was startled and quickly opened his eyes. I saw 2 dirty little faces, full of worries staring at me. I saw myself opening my eyes and a tiger-headed little guy slapping and enjoying himself. Brother is awake. Brother is fine. Beside her, a little girl couldn't conceal her joy and timidly asked, "Brother, do you want to eat something?" Gollum. Wang Ning'an's stomach rang uncontrollably, and he tried to squeeze out a smile. The little girl is his younger sister, named Wang Luoxiang. As for the tiger-headed little guy, his name is Wang Ning'an. He is less than 5 years old this year, and Wang Luoxiang is only 6 or 7 years old. The difference in grades between siblings is quite significant, which is not surprising. The survival rate of children is too low these years. Wang Ning'an is the first child of Wang Liangjing and his wife, and he has 2 younger brothers who all died prematurely. In his previous life, he was alone. Now that he has 2 more relatives, Wang Ning'an is very happy. Wang Luoxiang thoughtfully put a bowl of porridge in front of his brother and 2 boiled eggs. Wang Ning'an was indeed hungry, quickly peeled off the skin and stuffed it into his mouth. Pure local eggs are delicious. He chewed them, not to mention how delicious they were. When he looked up, he found that his sister was drinking congee with a bowl in her arms, making a sucking sound, while his brother was swallowing saliva, secretly looking at the remaining eggs. Damn it, how could you forget them? This is not a future with abundant resources, it must be difficult to eat eggs. Let brother see, do you have any eggs? Looking up, Wang Ning'an was stunned. Not only was there no egg in Wang Ning'an's bowl, but even congee was different from his own. It was as clear as water. Can you eat enough? Wang Ning'an snatched the porridge bowl. Wang Ning'an was so frightened that she was silly. Baba pouted her mouth in grievance and cried. "Xiang'er, what's going on?" Upon hearing his brother's questioning, Wang Luoxiang trembled and instinctively put down his bowl. Her bowl was even clearer than Wang Ning'an's, and several pitiful grains of rice were counted. Wang Ning'an pretended to be angry and said, "Xiang'er, tell your brother, otherwise he won't be able to eat anymore." Wang Luoxiang held a bowl and tears streamed down her face, feeling aggrieved as she said, "Yes, it was my second aunt who said that my brother lost his horse. I will punish him and not give him food. Then my congee." Wang Ning'an understood something for a moment and was stunned. "I have opened a new book. Please accept and push." End of this chapter. Chapter 2. Wives. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 2 Wives. Then I gave both of you to my brother, right? Wang Ning'an looked at 2 bowls of congee that were as clear as water and shouted, "I was afraid that my brother would know, so I poured boiling water into the 2 bowls, right?" What a silly girl. Wang Ning'an felt sorry for her and saved her younger sister, while also holding on to her younger brother with her other hand. My parents are not at home, even if there is only 1 grain of rice, they want us to share it and give it to my brother. What will you do? Wang Ning'an affectionately touched his sister's head. Wang Luoxiang raised his small face with tears on it and said, "Brother is injured." As Grandpa Zhong said, you need to eat enough to recover quickly. Loyal Grandpa. Yes, it's Grandpa Zhong. Yesterday, he drugged his brother and also gave him eggs. Wang Ning'an finally remembered that Grandpa Zhong, also known as Wang Zhong, was the only servant of the Wang family. In fact, it is not accurate to say that he was a servant. In his early years, he followed the ancestors of the Wang family on the battlefield and fell disabled. He has been living in the Wang family for these years, and he is also close to his family. So the second aunt will give you 2 bowls of congee. Wang Ning'an was surprised. Wang Luoxiang nodded and scratched in the bowl, that's it. There's still a long way to go. Wang Ning became angry when he settled down. He only gave 2 or half bowls to the 3 children. Wang Luoxiang gave almost all of the congee to his brother, and the 2 little wretches had to mix the remaining congee with water. Cui Shi, you really can do it. If you hit someone and still don't give them food, do you want to kill them? Do you think the premature death rate of children is too high? Even if one dies, Wang Liangjing wouldn't dare to do anything to you when he comes back. Anyway, it was Wang Ning'an who lost his horse first, there was a mistake first. If you hold on to something, don't let it go. Do you still have any kinship? Wang Ning'an was both angry, but he was severely injured and couldn't get off the ground. He could only grit his teeth in his heart, and his disgust grew stronger. He allocated part of the congee in his bowl to his brother and sister, leaving only a small part of the bowl, and then divided the remaining eggs into 2 parts. Although Wang Ning'an doesn't know what to do, he can't let the 2 children worry for him. Listen, eat quickly, otherwise my brother won't be happy. The 2 little guys saw Wang Ning'an's face turn pale, so they could only pick up the porridge bowl obediently. After a hasty meal, the taste of being half full was even more uncomfortable than being hungry. Wang Ning'an lay on the bed, his mind full of thoughts. He wanted to find his horse, wash away his grievances, and make money, at least eat well. He also wanted to study and blend into the ranks of scholars. In his previous life, he was not a person with great ambitions. After graduating from a 3rd-rate university, he went to code characters to make a living as he pleased. He worked hard for several years, only earning a little living expenses, but was very happy and satisfied. Wang Ning'an believed that if he could pass the imperial examination, endure for a few years, become a county magistrate and benefit the local people, it would be best. If not, he could only make some money and live a comfortable life. His ambition is not high, but once he can't even meet the minimum requirements, Wang Ning'an will explode. For example, in elementary school, there was a tall and strong repeating student in the class who always bullied him, forcing Wang Ning'an to be anxious. He practiced hard for half a year, blocked the other party in the corner, and suddenly hit him with a bruised nose and face. He raised his hand to surrender. Cui Shi, it's best to stop at the right time, don't really annoy me. Wang Ning'an hated to think that in the blink of an eye, at night, he couldn't get up and had to let his sister Wang Luoxiang go to fetch dinner. After waiting for a full 15 minutes, the little girl came back with a sad face, holding a plate with only 2 or 3 black pancakes inside. Is this dinner? Well, it was given by my second aunt. She said, if we lose our horse at home, we should be frugal. Her voice was as soft as a mosquito. Pooh! Wang Ning'an was burning with anger and grabbed one casually, bang hard. Like a stone, approaching her, the cake was speckled and seemed to have gone moldy. It took a lot of effort to break it open and taste it on the edge of her mouth. The roughness was unbearable, and there was still a strange smell. Wang Ning'an swore that he had never eaten such an unpleasant thing in his life. Cui Shi pretended to be a prank, and by saving money from his mouth, when could he buy back a horse? Besides, there are adults in all the other rooms, so I'm sure I won't feel aggrieved. Maybe Chui will be eating a small stove in the room at this time. It's just bullying the 3 children and being helpless. Wang Ning'an became more and more angry as he thought about it. He bit down hard, as if biting on Chui's flesh. He used all his strength to chew and swallow, causing his throat to anger like sand. Wang Luoxiang carefully picked up a piece and bit it on the edge of his mouth, slowly chewing it. Wang Ning'an took a bite just like his brother and sister, and then spat it out. Don't waste food. Wang Luoxiang scolded. Wang Ning'an was scared by his sister, took another bite, chewed on it, and couldn't swallow it for a long time. She was so aggrieved that tears rolled around her eyes. Stop eating. Wang Ning'an couldn't even swallow it. Don't bother his younger brother and sister anymore. He snatched the cake and threw it hard on the ground, taking a deep breath. With his arms supporting his body, he sat up reluctantly, his weak body sweating in cold sweat. Wait, brother, go catch 2 fish. No way, Wang Luoxiang said with concern, brother is injured. Grandpa Zhong said he can't get wet. Then go to the tree, find some bird eggs, and cook them to eat. Wang Luoxiang shook his head desperately and said, if you're going to fall, Xiang'er won't let you go. What if you don't go? Wang Ning'an spread his hands and comforted him with a bitter smile, Xiang'er is good, we can't go hungry, can we? Wang Luoxiang wiped away her tears. Her brother was much more friendly than before and really cared about her. The little girl suddenly looked up and asked, brother, is it because you have money that you can avoid going hungry? That's for sure, but do we have money? Wang Ning'an looked at the empty room, unable to figure out where the money was hidden. Yes. Wang Luoxiang nodded vigorously, turned around, and ran to the door. He pulled out a pair of extra-large shoes, emitting a strong odor, which was definitely a biochemical crisis-level weapon. From afar, Wang Ning'an was about to faint. Wang Luoxiang covered his nose, took out a small money bag from his shoes, and timidly said, it was hidden by his father. He didn't let Xiang'er tell anyone. After listening to his father's words, he bought Xiang'er sugar ears to eat. The little girl didn't even want candy ears for her brother's sake, she's such a good girl. Wang Ning'an chuckled and reached out his hand to scrape her nose. Sugar ears are nothing. Wait a few days, my brother will buy you sugar figurines. Not only are they delicious, but they are also beautiful. Wang Luoxiang's eyes lit up, and indeed his brother was more generous than his father. The little girl obediently handed the money bag to Wang Ning'an, holding a heavy money bag with about 100 won inside. Wang Ning'an showed a rare smile. Sure enough, at some point, men couldn't change their habit of hiding private money. Wang Ning'an suddenly had a slight liking for cheap dad, of course, only a hint. With money, there is a way. Wang Ning'an pondered and counted out 20 copper plates. Xiang'er, brother is injured. Go to Uncle Wu's house next door and buy some pancakes. Uncle Wu has a carriage at home. He buys grain, mountain goods, and game from the village and sells them in Sangzhou. Sometimes, if the grain cannot be sold, he makes pancakes at home and sells them to the villagers. Their family is considered the only merchant in Tuda village, but now it's dark and I don't know if there's anything to eat. While Wang Ning'an was waiting, Wang Luoxiang ran back panting heavily. I retrieved 7 fist-sized pancakes and a piece of pickled vegetables. Uncle Wu's cooking pancakes cost 3 won per piece, and he bought 7 for 20 won. He also included pickled vegetables. Not everyone is as harsh as Chui's. The 3 siblings were starving and immediately ate them. Wang Ning'an ate 3, and Wang Luoxiang and Wang Ning'an ate 2 each, causing their stomachs to bulge. In the next 2 days, although they still received meals on time, they ate when they could, and went to Uncle Wu's house when they could not. In addition to cooking cakes, they also bought some millet and some salted duck egg. Wang Ning'an's injury is also recovering rapidly, and he can get up and cook congee. Cheap Dad spent almost half of his private money, but when he comes back and sees it, he may not be able to go crazy. On second thought, what's so scary about you leaving us at home, feeling wronged and spending some money on your private property? It's only natural. 2 days have passed, and Grandpa Zhong came once to change the medicine for Wang Ning'an. The wounds on his body have healed, and he has started to grow flesh. The itching sensation is obvious, and he can also walk on the ground. Wang Luoxiang and Wang Ningze also smiled, and when their brother recovered, they had a place to rely on. But Wang Ning'an still doesn't know who to rely on. Wang Ning'an got up early and cooked a big pot of congee with his younger brothers and sisters. The sun was rising outside, and it was a warm morning. If there was no annoying second aunt, it would be better. The door of the house was pushed open, and Chui was angry and suddenly killed. Seeing that there was a pot of golden millet porridge on the table, 3 children were holding a huge cake, and there was still oil flowing in the place where they bit it open, Chui Shi immediately became angry and cursed. "All right, little bunny, you dare to eat and drink spicy food even after being punished. You're really brave. Tell me quickly, where did you steal this money?" Chui Shi seemed to be possessed by a fierce and evil spirit, which frightened the 2 little ones and made them tremble uncontrollably, curled up behind his brother. Wang Ning'an could only step forward and sneer, "Yang, there are always more people in the world who are willing to lend a helping hand than those who fall into trouble. Can you manage someone who brings us food?" "Sending. Pooh." Chui raised her eyebrows and looked at the things on the table, laughing strangely. "Little bunny, don't think I don't know. The only family in the village who makes pancakes is Old Wu. Their couple will give you pancakes. Dream it." Chui said and searched around the room. "You must have stolen and hidden money from your family, hand it over quickly." Chui Shi spoke while searching, and Wang Ning'an's face was calm. However, Wang Luoxiang was still a child, and his face changed color when he was scared by Chui Shi. His body kept trembling, and his small eyes kept glancing around. Chui searched around and happened to see a wooden box following Wang Luoxiang's gaze. The evil dog rushed over like a bone. "I often go to buy food these days and put it in my smelly shoes. Every time I withdraw money, I feel dizzy. So I just put it in a convenient place to retrieve it." Unexpectedly, Chui Shi discovered it, and Wang Ning'an's face changed greatly. "Open the book now. For now, there are 2 shifts every day, 1 chapter at noon and 1 chapter at night. I've lost some weight, everyone should save it now." End of this chapter. Chapter 3. Eccentricity. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 3 Eccentricity. Seeing Chui steal the money, the most horrified one was Wang Luoxiang. The little girl felt it was her own fault. Without the money, her brother would go hungry, and it was still her father's private money. Wang Luoxiang was so anxious that she cried. She didn't know where the courage came from, but suddenly ran over and grabbed the money bag, desperately trying to snatch it back. She cried, "This is my father's money, not stolen. Give it back to us quickly." Wang Ning'an was frightened when he saw his sister rushing out and quickly shouted, "Don't snatch it, come back." When he shouted, it was already late. Chui Shi waved her arm. After all, she was an adult, and Wang Luoxiang was thin and dry. She was thrown out and her head hit the foot of the table. "Xiang'er!" Wang Ning'an exclaimed in surprise and rushed over, reaching out to touch her. Her sister's head was swollen with an egg-sized lump and blood was flowing out. Wang Ning'an completely erupted, transforming into an angry little leopard, staring fiercely at Chui Shi. "What you just did might have killed my sister. You have a wicked heart. Fart." Chui Shi would not admit to using poison and retorted, "A little girl with a hard life, isn't that good? Besides, even if she dies, what's the point? Less burden. It also saves a dowry." Chui Shi is not only mean and greedy, but also neglects his sister's fate. Wang Ning'an gritted his teeth and said, "You really should tell your father and parents this, so that they can strangle you earlier and save a dowry for the Cui family." "Little rabbit, dare you scold me?" Cui's face turned red when Wang Ning'an said it. She slapped Wang Ning'an and ran towards him again. Suddenly, she felt a pain in her leg. She looked down and saw that the small Wang Ning'an was biting her thigh, with sharp teeth piercing into her flesh. It was really painful. "Dirty thief, I'll kill you first." Cui Shi slapped and pushed Wang Ning'an out 3 steps, then sat down on the ground. The little one felt pain and tears welled up. Cui Shi refused to let go and rushed over to punch. "You! Go! Die!" Wang Ning'an's eyes were red. He didn't care about anything. Once he lifted the congee pot, he would hit Cui Shi. "Stop it!" Suddenly, a sound came from outside, and both Cui and Wang Ning'an couldn't help but stop. I saw an old lady with white hair, leaning on a cane, running in from outside. It was Wang Ning'an's great-grandmother, the head of the Wang family. "Grandma is here." Cui Shi apologized and quickly accused the villain. Erlang, he stole money from the family and dared to fight with his elders. If he didn't care, it would be unbelievable. "Elder. You deserve it too." Wang Ning'an was about to refute. The old lady thumped her cane and said, "Enough, you're trying to make me angry." Cui dared not speak. The old lady bent down and helped Wang Ning'an up. Upon closer inspection, the little one was very sturdy, except for a drop in the butt. There was nothing wrong with it. The old lady finally breathed a sigh of relief and gave Cui Shi a fierce glare. "This is the grandson of our Wang family. He's such a big person and he's not serious enough. What if he breaks it?" Cui's face was full of disdain, but he still promised. "Forget it, pay attention in the future." From beginning to end, the old lady didn't even glance at Wang Luoxiang. Although she was injured more severely, Wang Ning'an's face was very bad. He held his sister in his arms, and the little girl felt her brother's warmth and snuggled closer. "Grandma, look at the congee on the table and the cooking cakes. They are better than the elders. If they go on like this, won't they eat the Wang family down? His father practices martial arts and eats a gene of meat every day. They are so virtuous again. The whole family can't live without food and money thieves." After Cui finished speaking, she burst into tears, very pitiful, but in Wang Ning'an's eyes, only disgust. Upon hearing Cui's mention of cheap dad, he understood that Cui targeted his siblings everywhere, and to put it bluntly, it was for the sake of their second wife. His second uncle Wang Liangjun and cousin Wang Ninghong were both studying, and their expenses were inevitable. The Wang family had a difficult time, but Cheap Dad was determined to restore the glory of his ancestors, practicing martial arts diligently, and took up a lot of money. Cui felt unhappy and took advantage of the situation to vent his anger on the children. "Grandma, how dare they steal money from our family? When they were young, they stole needles. When they grew up, they stole gold. If they don't punish them severely, are there any rules left?" Mrs. Wang hesitated slightly and looked at Wang Ning'an with doubts. Wang Ning'an is not a soft persimmon, he must always make a point. "Grandmother. Second uncle's mother is stealing money and keeping her mouth shut, is it difficult for the Wang family to become a thief's den? From top to bottom, they are all thieves. What is second uncle?" "You." Cui Shi choked and couldn't speak. Wang Ning'an sneered and said, "What's wrong with my parents leaving a few pocket money when they go out? If my second aunt thinks it's a theft, I'll admit it. I just implore my granddaughter to go to my second uncle's room and search carefully. If there's not a single copper coin, I'll admit it. If we find it out. Hee, it's not certain who the thief is." Cui was stabbed in the pain of her foot. Speaking of which, the Wang family's ability to hide private money is unmatched by her. If we search in her room, wouldn't it be all exposed? In a fit of rage, Chui's face turned black. What a big coward. How dare you talk back? Your father is a spendthrift, and you are also a thief. Let's see if I don't tear your mouth apart. She was waving her teeth and claws, and Mrs. Wang couldn't bear to watch. How could she beat someone in front of her? Cough. Second wife, I'm not dead yet. Upon hearing the old lady speak, Cui Shi turned her head and burst into tears. Grandma, my granddaughter .in.law, for the sake of the Wang family, wakes up early and goes to bed late, shows filial piety to her elders, teaches her husband and children. I have been supporting this family, working hard and not doing well. Even a little child doesn't take me seriously. My granddaughter .in.law is unjustly accused. If she doesn't make up her mind for me, I will bump her head to death. Cui was rolling around, and Mrs. Wang complained with a dark face, Wang Ning'an, quickly apologize to your second aunt. Apologize to her. Who is wrong on earth? Grandmother, as a younger generation, she doesn't have the right to speak, but Cui Shi scolded my father. We can't just forget it. Wang Ning'an said in defiance. What else do you want? Cui Shi also angrily said, I don't mind your apology. I must punish you severely and hit you to the death. He. Wang Ning'an didn't care at all. In the first 2 days, he had just crossed over and his head hadn't adapted yet. Secondly, his body couldn't move and his heart was weak. Now he has at least recovered half of his combat power. Thinking back to writing the crossing article, he searched for a lot of ancient information, and even Cui couldn't handle it. He decided to just commit suicide. Wang Ning'an said sternly, Grandmother, the Wang family has rules and regulations. I remember correctly. There are 2 of them, one is jealousy and the other is talkative. Cui Shi is jealous and cruel, abusing the young children of her husband's family, injuring my sister and younger brother. Cui Shi chews her tongue, spreads rumors, confuses black and white, talks nonsense in front of elders, and even insults her father, disrupts her brotherhood with her uncle, completely lacking the dignity of a royal daughter. In law. If this continues, we may lose the face of the Wang family. Everyone will poke our spines. Grandmother, the Wang family cannot become a laughing stock. Upon hearing this, Cui Shi was so angry that she jumped up and became even more reluctant. Listen, what are these words? For the sake of the Wang family, is it easy for me to raise a white-eyed wolf? When it comes to talking, Wang Ning'an is not afraid of her and sneered, how dare you say it's for the Wang family? My second uncle and cousin both need to take the imperial examination to become scholars. What do scholars value? It's not knowledge, it's virtue. Wang Ning'an sneered, if my second uncle treats my uncle and nephew like this, as long as it gets out of the way and reaches the ears of the examiners, saying that my second uncle cannot govern the family, how can he govern the country, and my lifelong achievements will be over. Having a harsh mother, my cousin's future career will also be in trouble. Don't say it. Cui's eyes turned red and she exclaimed hysterically, but there was clearly a hint of fear in her eyes. Cui's proudest thing is that her husband and son are the only 2 scholars in the Wang family. In the future, if the Wang family wants to prosper, it will be in the hands of their 2 masters. She may also be able to become an imperial concubine, with unlimited glory. Having been hit by Wang Ning'an's weakness, she couldn't have been angry and desperate. Wang Ning'an. The old lady raised her hand, arched left and right, with 4 mouths connected. Wang Ning'an's face suddenly turned red, and her fingerprints were swollen high. Wang Ning'an never expected that the old lady would hit him. His eyes turned blood red in an instant, and the corners of his mouth twitched twice, barely suppressing his anger. Unlike Cui Shi, Mrs. Wang was his great-grandmother. As long as she dared to speak back, she would end up with an unfilial reputation, and his life would be over. Mrs. Wang's chest heaved violently as she took a deep breath. Wang Ning'an, do you know why I hit you? Wang Ning'an didn't answer, but old lady Wang stomped her feet and said, "Your second uncle and cousin are scholars and the hope of our family. No matter what, you shouldn't argue with them. If they don't pass the imperial examination, our Wang family will be ruined. I won't be able to rest in peace." The old lady shook her head and sighed, feeling heartbroken. Cui Shi saw the opportunity and quickly supported the old lady's arm, adding fuel and vinegar, saying, "Grandma, my granddaughter has been wronged. Can you always make up your own mind for me?" After a moment of silence, Mrs. Wang said coldly, "Ning'an, it seems that you have recovered well. In a few more days, I will follow your uncle and loyal grandfather to work on the ground. I'm not a farmer." Wang Ning'an screamed wildly in his heart, but when it reached his mouth, he reluctantly suppressed it. What an unreasonable old lady. The scholar. Can the three words be used to distinguish right from wrong, regardless of right or wrong? Cui Shi refused to give up and added, "Grandma, let him do the work of carrying water and chopping firewood from now on. If he doesn't polish his character well, he will definitely cause big trouble in the future." Mrs. Wang nodded and surprisingly agreed to Cui's proposal. Starting tomorrow, let Xiang'er also go to the kitchen. The girl is not young anymore and should learn to do housework, otherwise she won't be able to get married in the future. Although the new book is thin, it can still be collected. End of this chapter. Chapter 4. Wang Ning'an's Counterattack. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 4. Wang Ning'an's Counterattack. Cui and Mrs. Wang left, and the anger in Wang Ning'an's eyes was burning. From inside out, it was like an angry fireball, releasing a terrifying temperature. Wang Ning'an finally understood, and the Wang family was also divided into 3, 6, and 9 classes. As a scholar, Erbo couldn't touch him, and Cui Shi was rampant and reckless. The old lady disregarded the fact that Cui had beaten people first, refused to provide food, and insulted them later. She only forced herself to go down to the ground to work, fetch water and chop wood, and even her younger sister couldn't escape. Wang Ning'an can't bear it anymore. I'm not pinching my face. I have to rise up and fight back for myself and my sister. The situation in front of her is really terrible. Cui has obtained Mrs. Wang's permission, and she will definitely become even worse in the future. No matter how much work she does, she will leave it to herself and her sister. If there is any mistake, she will be punished. She can't live a small life anymore. There are only 2 ways to get rid of the unfavorable situation. One is to hope that my father and mother will come back soon, and let them make decisions for me. However, my father accompanies my mother to the funeral, and I don't know when he will come back. And even if he comes back, Dad dares to say anything to Mrs. Wang. Over the years, because Dad insists on practicing martial arts, the old lady is very dissatisfied with him. In the end, it's just that the 2 of them suffer together. Another way is to actively retrieve the horse and wash away the injustice. All unfair treatment is due to the so-called horse loss incident. As long as you retrieve the horse, there is no reason to force yourself to work. Moreover, Wang Ning'an suspects that his cousin Wang Ninghong took the horse. If it were really him who did it, it would be lively. Cui's own son made a mistake, but Wang Ning'an suffered an unfounded disaster. How can you justify it? By the way, could it be that Cui intentionally let her son steal the horse and then find an excuse to deal with herself? Wang Ning'an is already willing to speculate on the Cui family with the worst malice. Anyway, the horse must be found back. In order not to become a pitiful child laborer, Wang Ning'an decided to fight hard. Having made up his mind, Wang Ning'an called over his sister. Brother needs to go out and do something, take good care of him. You 2 are in our yard and are not allowed to run around. Can you do that? Wang Luoxiang nodded vigorously. Wang Ning'an held on to his younger brother again, reminding him to be obedient in comforting his 2 children. It had been almost 3 days since Wang Ning'an left home. Where should he go to find the horse? After coming out of home, Wang Ning'an followed his memory and found the riverbank where horses were often kept. The stream was winding, with green grass on both sides. When he was thirsty, he drank water and ate grass. It was really a good place to keep horses. Wang Ning'an carefully observed and became more and more convinced that the horse should not have been stolen. The reason was simple. Not far from both sides were vast fields, filled with laborers and fellow villagers. If there is a thief leading a horse in broad daylight, someone will definitely see it and tell the Wang family. Unless it's not a thief from outside, but a thief from home. Wang Ning'an walked to a field ridge and happened to have a farmer sitting on the edge of the ground resting, except for a row of grass. "Uncle Li, may I ask if my elder brother Wang Ninghong led a horse 3 days ago?" Wang Ning'an asked politely, and the farmer casually said, "It seems like." Before he could finish speaking, someone suddenly coughed twice. It turned out that his wife hurriedly walked over, gave him a fierce glare, and then smiled at Wang Ning'an, saying, "Wang Erlang, we weren't working in the field that day, I don't know." After speaking, she punched her husband and said, "What are you doing with a pestle?" "Work." Wang Ning'an had no choice but to ask the next one. He asked 4 or 5 people in a row, some of whom seemed to have no idea, while others were full of embarrassment and unwilling to speak even if they knew. Until noon, Wang Ning'an found a stone by the stream and sat down. It's not right to say he got nothing, he's even more certain that his cousin must have led the horse away. As for the villagers who are unwilling to say it, the reason is very simple. It is your Wang family's matter. If you say it, you will offend Wang Liangjun and Shuishi. No matter how much trouble you make, outsiders see that you are a family with broken bones and tendons. Why should we cause trouble? Besides, Wang Ning'an is just a young boy with little status in the Wang family. Is it useful to help him speak? No one is willing to do things that require effort and are not pleasing. At this moment, Uncle Wu was driving a carriage back from Zhangzhou. As he passed by the stream, he jumped out of the carriage and arrived at the edge of the stream. He picked up the cool stream water and took 2 sips. How delightful! When he returned, he deliberately passed by Wang Ning'an and whispered, "Wang Daolong and a young man were leading horses." Ah! Wang Ning'an was taken aback and wanted to ask a few more questions. Uncle Wu had already gotten on the carriage and left with a whip. "Sure enough, it's him," confirmed the conjecture, but judging from Uncle Wu's appearance, he made it clear that he didn't want to testify to himself. It was just that he couldn't bear to keep himself in the dark. We still need to find real evidence. Wang Ning'an held his head and pondered for a while before suddenly his eyes lit up. What a fool! Can't we find the horse, can't we still find the person? Since it was Wang Ninghong who led the horse and found Wang Ninghong, wouldn't we just find the horse? Wang Ning'an had an idea and left Tuda village. He ran along the main road, panting for more than 10 miles, and arrived at a large town. It was Ning'an village, with 300 to 400 households, which was the largest village in the surrounding area. To the east of Ning'an village, by the mountain and by the water, there is a neat fenced courtyard with 7 or 8 brick and tile houses. In a thatched cottage, it stands out as a private school and a residence for children from other villages. I heard that the teacher has extremely strict requirements. Students have to get up and recite before dawn, and there are still classes until evening. Therefore, except for the students in our village, everyone else must stay in the school. Wang Ning'an is not unfamiliar at all. When he used to play, he often went outside the private school, and from a distance, he could hear the sound of reading inside. A teenager of 11 or 12 years old, where do you still not understand? A few boys in the family, cousin Wang Ninghong, entered a private school where he could read and write. He could only stay at home, could he not envy him? Wang Ning'an used to be so mischievous and causing trouble everywhere, trying to attract attention and vent his dissatisfaction. He could clearly feel the envy and depression hidden in his heart. Sigh, there will be a chance. It won't be long before I can also go to school. Wang Ning'an clenched his fist. He didn't rush to the school to find someone, but waited outside for a long time. Finally, he saw a 14-year-old boy walking out, and Wang Ning'an quickly welcomed him. "This brother, I am Wang Ning'an, the younger brother of Wang Ninghong. My family has asked me to come and find my elder brother for a blind date." Wang Ninghong is already 15 years old, and the family of the manor may have gotten married long ago. The guy across from him is not surprised, but instead smiles and smiles. "Huh, Wang Ninghong is so lucky. I didn't expect to drink his wedding wine. This guy danced and was even happier than he got married. No wonder brother Wang has been taking leave all these days. I dare say something good happened." Wang Ning'an continued to use the cliché, "May I ask if my older brother is in school?" "No, yesterday he asked for leave with his husband again and said he had gone to Li Zhen's house. The two of them were the best and got together to do everything." "Where is Li Zhen's home then?" "It's about 5 miles in Sanha village. Why don't I take you there?" This person was still kind-hearted, and Wang Ning'an quickly waved his hand. He only asked for the direction of Sanha village before quickly saying goodbye. "It's time to catch a thief." Wang Ning'an clenched his fist tightly. I rushed to Sanha village in one breath, my whole body soaked in sweat. He inquired about Li Zhen's home, found the backyard, scraped against the earthen wall, and indeed there was a horse tied to the cowshed, appearing restless, constantly walking back and forth. "It's a horse from the Wang family." Wang Ning'an recognized it at a glance, and his excited heart almost jumped out. He really wanted to rush in, take the horse away, and let Chui take a good look. But where Wang Ninghong was, I don't know yet, so I can't act rashly. At this moment, a voice came from the road, rushing towards him. Wang Ning'an was in a hurry and quickly hid behind a pile of firewood. There happened to be a big poplar tree, completely covering him. At this moment, when someone spoke, a voice complained, "Brother Wang, just give the horse directly to the golden tiger. Look, it has been left at my house for 3 days. It's been eating grass and food, and the ghost kept barking in the middle of the night, making it difficult to sleep well. Alas, brotherly, just endure it. For Guan coins are not a small matter. If I don't give him the money, I can't give him the horse. Besides, if someone sees me during the day, tell my family and I will be punished." Through the cracks in the branches, it can be seen that it is my cousin Wang Ninghong. Next to him, the brotherly sneered, "What's to be afraid of? Just buy the result of a dog fight from a living immortal. Bet a treasure, win a lot of money, and sell another horse. What else can the family do to you? That's not possible." Wang Ninghong quickly waved his hand and said, "Brotherly, I don't know. My family is not as open-minded as yours. My great-grandmother is just an old antique, she never allows her descendants to gamble. If she finds out, she will only peel off my skin. Ah, Brother Wang, may I remind you that tomorrow is the day of the dog fighting final. Today, no matter what, we must sell the horse. Don't worry, I've made an appointment. The golden tiger will come over with the money tonight, and we'll go by the results and bet tomorrow morning. It won't delay." "Okay, that's it." The two guys discussed and walked in through the back door, specifically looking at the horse before finally returning to the house with peace of mind. They didn't speak loudly, but Wang Ning'an's ears were very sharp, and he heard it clearly and clearly. Not only did I confirm that my cousin stole the horse, but I also knew the reason. If you want to buy a dog fighting result, you also have to bet to make a fortune. Do your spring and autumn dreams. How many deceptive tricks has Wang Ning'an seen in his previous life? He really has the ability to predict the outcome. If he gets rich, will he still sell it to you? Of course, Wang Ning'an doesn't need to expose the scam, and he may not believe it either. It's better to quickly find someone to catch all the stolen goods and make Chui look good. End of this chapter. Chapter 5. Wang Erlang, accused. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 5. Wang Erlang, accused. Wang Ning'an quietly crawled out of the firewood pile, followed the main road, ran out of Sanha village, and headed straight home. Running on the road, Wang Ning'an's mind kept spinning. Among the elders of the Wang family at present, there is no need to consider Chuishi. She will definitely favor her son. As for Mrs. Wang, who is older and has a biased eye, she probably won't easily believe herself. Where's Grandma Sue? No matter what, my health is not good. After calculation, there is only one uncle left, Wang Lianggui, and we have to find him. Wang Ning'an quickly returned home and saw his uncle carrying a bucket of water from the well in the village. When he saw Wang Ning'an, he immediately shouted, "Stinky kid, the old lady has told you to carry water and chop firewood. Uncle won't do it for you in the future. If there's no water or firewood, I don't need to hit you. My second wife won't be able to let you go." Wang Lianggui laughed proudly as he spoke, with a gloating expression on his face, devoid of the kind affection that an uncle should have. No wonder the Wang family will fall, they are all such oddities, there is no reason not to collapse. Wang Ning'an suppressed his anger and leaned over to uncle's side. "My nephew is busy working for uncle. Look, I'm sweating all over." Wang Lianggui sneered, "Don't give me a blind eye. What the hell did you do?" "Uncle, my nephew really didn't lie to you. Listen to me, my family will have money to help you talk about your wife, and my nephew will have an uncle and aunt." Wang Ning'an blinked his bright eyes and swore confidently. Wang Lianggui's old face turned red and he angrily said, "Little rabbit, what kind of nonsense are you talking about? Uncle, you can come with me." Wang Ning'an pulled Wang Liangqian to run towards Sanha village, while telling him about Wang Ninghong's horse theft. Then, full of grievances, he said, "Uncle, you are the head of the family, you must make decisions for your nephew." Upon hearing the four words, "the head of a family," Wang Lianggui was shocked. It was not that his grandfather had passed away, but that his father had also died. He was the oldest and highest-ranking male member of the Wang family, who was the true owner of the Wang family. Since his wife died, what kind of life has he been living? The old lady doesn't look up to him, and the second son bullies him, feeding horses, farming, carrying water, chopping firewood. Damn it, I have become a servant. I've been looking down on Chui all along, but unfortunately I didn't have a chance. If it's really Wang Ninghong who stole the horse, I'll give the second family a good lesson. It's better not to let the second master and the second master study. Grandma is a fool and treats two grass buns like treasures. It's better to save money and marry me a wife. I'm not too old yet, so hurry up and give birth to a son. Maybe my son will be the real star of literature and music, and he will be able to sing in Donghua Gate in the future. It has to be said that the Wang family is not very reliable. But using him to deal with Chuishi would be perfect. As it turned dark, Wang Ning'an and Wang Liangqian finally arrived at the backyard of the Li family. "Uncle, come on, is it our family's horse?" Wang Liangqian doesn't need to look carefully. Before Wang Ning'an, he had been responsible for releasing horses, so he couldn't recognize it. "Huh, the horse thief is here. Lift your big foot and kick towards the far door." The yard of the Li family is made of bricks, but the door is made of wood. He was kicked open by the uncle and rushed into the yard carrying a pole. He quickly ran to the cowshed and saw his owner. The horse was overjoyed and kept moving, affectionately rubbing his brain against the uncle's chest. Wang Lianggui untied the reins of the horse, grabbed it in his hand, and gritted his teeth, saying, "Which filthy chaos dares to steal the Wang family's horse? A short-lived ghost that cannot be killed, a beast that does not engage in human activities, and a beast that does not eat human food, get out of here." Uncle cursed profusely and charged forward. Wang Ninghong and Li Zhen inside the room were both startled, and in an instant, Wang Ninghong's face turned green. "It's not good, my uncle has brought it." Wang Ninghong turned around and wanted to escape from the front yard. How could Li Zhen let him go? If you leave, I won't be a thief anymore. Brother Wang, please calm down. Li Zhen was indeed a bit quick-witted. He leaned into Wang Ninghong's ear and said a few words, giving him some confidence. I quickly ran to the back and happened to bump into Wang Yangqian. Yo, isn't this Delang? Did you steal our horse? Wang Ninghong quickly apologized and said, Uncle is here. If I don't come, I can't tell what you are. Come home with me and be punished. Wang Ninghong looked innocent and said, Uncle, what do you mean by that? My nephew is going to Zhangzhou to see his father, and coincidentally, Brother Li and the child are accompanying him. He brought the horse and used it as a foot. It's a journey of several tens of miles, so we can't walk there, can we? At this moment, Li Zhen also quickly bowed and said, It's Uncle Wang. My nephew and Brother Wang are good friends, and we happen to be taking a break from our private school. Let's go to Zhangzhou together to broaden our horizons. Isn't that surprising? Of course it will. Wang Lianggui was in his 30s, how could he have been deceived by the little doll? He sneered, If you want to use our horse, why don't you tell me? I told Erlang. Pooh. Wang Lianggui spat fiercely, Your mother dragged Erlang to the ancestral hall and beat him up. If you borrowed him, why didn't he say it? How could he get beaten? Almost lost his life. Wang Ninghong was so scared that he trembled all over, but he continued to argue, maybe he forgot. No, I forgot. I'm sorry Erlang, I'll go apologize to him. Wang Ning'an heard it clearly, almost so angry that he cursed his mother. He was really stubborn. He clearly wanted to sell the horse for 4 guan of money, but when he saw Uncle coming, he immediately changed his mind and said to borrow the horse. This lying skill is really amazing. As he was pondering how to expose him, suddenly a middle-aged man took big steps and entered the Li family. While walking, he shouted, Wang Dalong, I have brought the money. Give me the horse. His voice was extremely loud, and everyone heard it clearly. This time it was Wang Ninghong's turn to be dumbfounded. Coincidentally, the middle-aged man walked in, took a money bag from his shoulder, and generously threw it to Wang Ninghong. He shouted loudly, Count, is that enough? Wang Ninghong was angry and afraid, so he quickly pushed the money bag to the other party. With a calm face, Wang Ninghong said, I'm just joking. Who's going to sell horses? This is my family's treasure. Didn't you see my uncle coming? Wang Ninghong frowned and winked, trying to make the other person understand his difficulties. He just left quickly. But the other party is not willing to give up. They can buy a good horse for 4 guan, but it's a huge bargain. He crossed his eyes and angrily said, Wang Dalong, we have agreed. You hand over the horse to me, and I will give you 4 guan coins to clear the money and goods. If you dare not speak up, Do you know how powerful my golden tiger is? Speaking of this, Wang Ninghong surprisingly rolled up his arms, revealing his dark muscles, which frightened Wang Ninghong and made him constantly retreat, feeling both guilty and embarrassed. That's enough. At this point, Wang Ninghong could no longer deny it. Wang Lianggui grabbed Wang Ninghong's collar and, like lifting a chicken, mentioned it to himself. How dare you lie to me, kid? Let's go home and see your grandmother. I see how the old lady is still protecting you. Wang Lianggui wanted to take people with him, but the golden tiger didn't agree yet. He stretched out his arm and sneered, This friend, I don't care about your family's affairs. You've agreed to sell this horse to me, so you can't take it away. Uncle is tough on his own people, but when he encounters outsiders, he feels a bit timid and stutters, not knowing how to deal with them. Wang Ning'an had enough breathing and walked over with a smile. This gentleman is really insightful. He knows my horse is good, but unfortunately, you can't buy it. Why? Didn't your Wang family say it counts? Golden Tiger angrily rebuked. Of course, we won't say anything but worry about the danger of buying the horse. Kid, do you dare to threaten me? Wang Ning'an chuckled and said, to be honest, my horses were raised for the court. In the 4th year of the Qingli reign, the court bought tens of thousands of war horses from Hedong in one go to deal with the Western Xiao. Don't you not know? Of course I know. Why, your horse belongs to the court. That's right. Wang Ning'an exclaimed loudly, 3 generations ago, our royal family was a military general in the court. During the expedition to the Western Xia, my grandfather sacrificed his life for the country. This horse is the seed of a war horse, and it's not certain when the court will requisition it. When the horse is gone, we will investigate and determine whether it's us or you who will bear it. Of course it's you guys. The skill of the Golden Tiger is to bully and bully rural people. When he heard about the involvement of the court, he was so frightened that he didn't have a temper at all. On the contrary, accompanied by a smile, he said, it turns out that he was behind the general, disrespectful, and the villain has left. The imposing Golden Tiger was sent away by Wang Ning'an in 3 or 2 sentences. Even Wang Liangqian was shocked. His nephew really has the aura of a great general. He insisted on letting Wang Ning'an ride a horse, but as for Wang Ninghong, he could only follow him in disappointment. When he rushed back to the Wang family, it was already 2 shifts away. As soon as he entered the yard, he shouted loudly, Grandma, I found the horse back. Not long after, everyone in the Wang family was alarmed. Mrs. Wang personally came out and took a closer look. It's our horse, by the way. Why is Ninghong here? Cui was also startled. When she saw the horses in the yard and Wang Ninghong, her heart immediately cast a shadow. Uncle Wang Lianggui looked at Cui Shi and teasingly said, Second wife, do you understand? Ning'an is unjustly accused. If you beat someone up, should you also follow suit? You're talking nonsense. How could Ninghong steal horses? Cui Shi was still arguing, but Mrs. Wang knew the big picture. Wang Ning'an not only got beaten, but also punished. If it's really unjust, when his father Wang Liangjing comes back, he won't make a scene. Mrs. Wang gave Cui a fierce glare and said, Stop making noise and go talk to the ancestral hall. End of this chapter. Chapter 6. Punishment and Reward. Happy New Year's Day. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 6 Punishment and Reward. Happy New Year's Day. The Wang family ancestral hall was brightly lit, and all the members of the family, old and young, came without leaving a single one. Wang Ning'an's grandmother, Su Shi, Cui Shi's second son, Wang Ningxuan, as well as Wang Ningzi and Wang Luoxiang, who had already fallen asleep, were all called out. The 2 little ones had sleepy eyes and didn't know what was going on, so they could only snuggle up in their brother's arms and take a nap. Kneel down. Wang Ninghong's legs softened and he instinctively bent his knees. Cui Shi stopped and angrily said, Uncle, why are you scaring the child? Second wife, are you still protecting him at this time? Maybe it was you who encouraged him to steal horses and wanted to harm the 4th family. Wang Lianggui shouted angrily as soon as she spoke. Cui's face turned pale. In fact, after beating Wang Ning'an, she remembered that Wang Ninghong had indeed asked her for 4 guan of money before. Cui felt that her son had spent enough money and did not give it. Later, the horse was lost, and Wang Ning'an said it was his elder brother who led it away. Cui Shi also thought that perhaps it was his son who took it. But for one thing, she didn't want to believe her son would steal things. For another, she deliberately cleaned up Wang Ning'an. For another, she might subconsciously think that her son had stolen a horse from the family. That was because her son was clever. Unexpectedly, he was caught straight away. Now, Cui Shi felt embarrassed. His uncle, they are all his own family members. Borrowing their horses is not considered stealing. Don't say it so harshly, as if our family is all thieves. Cui Shi was speaking when she suddenly felt someone looking at her. Following her gaze, it was Wang Ning'an. Yang, I remember correctly. During the day, you came to our yard and made a big fuss, saying that your nephew was a petty thief and a spendthrift who stole things. How could you become so opened-up-minded in the blink of an eye? It's really strange. Chui's face turned red when asked, and in a state of urgency, she could only look pitifully at the old lady. Look, they all bully son's daughter. Law. Chui sure seemed to have suffered a lot of injustice. Ning'an is a good child, he won't steal anything. Mrs. Wang was used to listening and believing, and even nodded, although she didn't steal anything, it's not good to take it without informing. Oh. The charges have become countless times lighter all at once. Is it okay to spare Wang Ning'an now? Wang Ning'an couldn't bear it anymore and stood up suddenly. Grandmother, big brother stole the horse and wants to sell it to the Golden Tiger. Should we invite him to testify? What? Although Mrs. Wang is biased, she is not completely confused. What kind of person is the Golden Tiger? A tough guy who specializes in lending. Last year, there was a family in Tuta village who couldn't pay back their money and was forced to drink brine on New Year's Eve. Surprisingly, she was implicated in such a villain. Mrs. Wang couldn't show any favoritism and walked up to Wang Ning'an. With a strong hatred, she said, Ning'an, what's going on? Tell grandma quickly. Wang Yongui clenched his fist and angrily rebuked, if you don't say it, I'll kill you. Chui sure wanted to defend his son, but couldn't find any words, feeling helpless. Wang Ning'an had to resort to intermittent and ambiguous language, but Wang Ning'an also understood the reason. It turned out that Wang Ning'an had heard from his good friend Li Zhen that a master had recently emerged in Sangzhou who could predict the outcome of dog fighting with unparalleled accuracy. Dog fighting originated in the northern Song Dynasty. Sangzhou is located on the border, with fierce folk customs, and dog fighting is very popular. The Song people were fond of gambling, known as guanpu. Even for breakfast sellers, they set a target for people to project. If they were lucky, they could have a sumptuous breakfast at an extremely low price, similar to the looping gameplay that still exists in later generations. Some people combine dog fighting in close fighting, and before each game, choose the dog they are optimistic about to bet on. If they win, they can get rich rewards, which many people enjoy. According to Li Zhen, it has been correct 3 times in a row, which is indeed extraordinary. The 4th time happened to catch the final, with the highest odds. Once you win, you can double it tenfold. However, to achieve the 4th result, it is not free, but requires spending 5 guan of money to buy. Wang Ning'an became interested, and he discussed with Li Zhen to each offer 5 guan coins, buy 1 result, and then take the 5 guan coins as a deposit. Winning the money, they split the 2 halves. Wang Ning'an only had the maintenance for his husband, as well as food expenses, which were just a meager sum of money. Therefore, he had the idea of secretly taking the horse away from his family, hoping to sell it for money and bet on gambling. After listening, even the Chui family knew the big picture. Mrs. Wang turned around and wept loudly at her ancestors, saying, your descendants are not worthy and have caused shame to your ancestors. Zhang, the wife of the Wang family, upholds the rules of our ancestors and punishes Wang Ning'an, a descendant of the Wang family. Please bear witness. In an instant, the old lady seemed to be possessed by a ferocious spirit, picking up a 3-foot-long wooden stick and staring fiercely at Wang Ning'an. Wang Yongui brought a long chair, and Wang Ning'an was pressed on it. He stripped off his clothes, revealing his back and buttocks. Pop! The old lady swung her stick and hit it, causing Wang Ning'an's eyes to turn black in pain and scream in agony like killing a pig. Chui opened her mouth to plead for mercy, but lacked the courage. The Wang family is like a mountain, and it's not a joke. She could only turn her head and cry softly. But Wang Ning'an widened his eyes and looked at him with an appreciative gaze. He didn't show any sympathy, on the contrary, he felt that the fight was not fierce enough. Predicting the outcome of dog fighting, the first 3 times are free of money, and the most crucial time is to buy the result with money. Even if you open your mouth, it will be a 5-pass game. Wang Ning'an thought with his toes, it's all a scam. Wang Ninghong, this brainless person, actually prepared to sell his family's horse. I don't even know what to say about him. After years of reading, he became a pig's head. It's better to give himself the opportunity. Even if you're stupid yourself, even if you drag others into the water, I got beaten up. It's simply unacceptable not to teach him a hard lesson. Although thinking so, Wang Ning'an still felt a bit cold when he truly witnessed the family tradition. It was really cruel. The old lady raised her stick high, beating and blaming Wang Ninghong for his crimes. Listen up. This time you violated the 5 major rules. The old lady spoke loudly and said, firstly, if you make friends with villains and that Li Zhen encourages you to steal a horse from your family, he is not a good person. He knows people and shouldn't be beaten. That's it. Wang Ninghong gritted his teeth and said. The stick then fell, leaving a dazzling red and purple mark on the back. Secondly, before you reach adulthood, you actually learn from others to go to Guanpu and suddenly take out 5 Guan coins. Do you know how many families are ruined by gambling? Shouldn't you bet money? This. Wang Ninghong held the bench and spoke with a crying voice. The old lady started beating with a stick, causing her skin to crack and almost fainting. Thirdly, stealing horses and family property without permission, should we fight? Also, you secretly led the horse away, causing your second brother to be beaten by your mother. Is there still half kindness between brothers? Should we be beaten? Is it easy for our family to support you in attending a private school? If you don't study hard and try to figure out some crooked ways, you really want to anger me. Mrs. Wang scolded one accusation thoroughly and only hit a few sticks. In the end, Wang Ninghong couldn't speak and only heard the sound of the board making a popping sound. Cui couldn't help but pounce and protected her son. Grandma, we can't fight anymore. Ninghong is also kind-hearted. He also sees our family's financial difficulties. If our child makes a small mistake, please forgive him. A small mistake. Mrs. Wang couldn't believe her own ears anymore. Second wife, is this a small mistake? The ancestors of the Wang family were generals and respectable families, living together for 4 generations. Their descendants couldn't steal, gamble, or frame their own brothers. If it were a small mistake, it wouldn't be a big one. If it weren't punished, the ancestors of the Wang family wouldn't be able to be peaceful. Cui didn't have the courage to argue with the old lady, so she could only bow her head and acquiesce. However, there was a hint of disdain in her expression. As long as she could make money, she didn't care about cleanliness. It was really cliché. Mrs. Wang saw Cui's dissatisfaction and felt even more regretful, even falling into self-blame. It seems that I am too accustomed to the second son's family, making them fearless, indifferent, and not harshly scolding. The Wang family must be ruined. Kneel down in the ancestral hall, no food or drink allowed, kneel for 3 days first. The old lady looked at Cui solemnly, if you dare to bring him food, get out of the Wang family. I dare not disobey my wife who understands right and wrong. Cui was completely frightened and dumbfounded. She opened her mouth, unable to find any words to defend herself. She was completely scared and full of complaints. If her husband were at home and someone was helping to speak, why would she be so passive? The old lady finished punishing Wang Ninghong and was about to leave. Wang Ning'an tried his best to impress his uncle, but Wang Liangqian finally remembered and hurriedly said, Grandma, the rewards and punishments should be clear. Ning'an was wronged a few days ago. As an elder, we must give him an explanation. Mrs. Wang casually said, what do you want to do? Wang Lianggui said seriously, Grandma, Ninghong has made so many mistakes, which shows that he has not put any effort into studying in these years, and has not even remembered the teachings of the sages. I hope he can succeed and prosper the Wang family. My grandchildren think it's impossible. It's better to give Ning'an the opportunity to study. I think he is the right material. Nonsense. Cui Shi jumped up immediately. My son is the once-you star in the sky, even blind fortune-tellers have said it. Puzzy. Wang Lianggui burst out laughing and said, Second wife, have you ever seen the once-you star who stole things? Have you ever seen the once-you star who tricked your own brother? The character of the young man makes him read, maybe he will harm our family in the future. Cui, who had been snatched away, had nothing to say but to look at Mrs. Wang with tearful eyes. Mrs. Wang was really disappointed with Wang Ninghong this time. The most devastating thing was that during the day, she even punished Wang Ning'an, clearly wronging the child. If she didn't compensate him, by the time Wang Liangjing returned, there would be no peace in the family. Mrs. Wang was reluctant, but she had to make a painful decision. Okay, just follow the boss's instructions and let Ning'an study. Suppressing excitement, Wang Ning'an stood up and loudly said, Grandmother, my grandson must study hard, become a successful person soon, and revive the Wang family. There will be no slightest negligence, let alone making friends recklessly. The old lady nodded perfunctorily and said, I'm tired, you all go back. End of this chapter. Chapter 7. Consistent Money. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 7 Consistent Money. After a tiring day and night, Wang Ning'an fell asleep. When she woke up again, it was already afternoon, and it had been more than a day since she had eaten. Her stomach was screaming louder than a frog's. Wang Ning'an grabbed Wang Ningzi and washed him clean. As for Wang Luoxiang, he didn't have to worry about it at all. He went to the kitchen with his brother. Without Cui's interference, they got a large bowl of porridge, 5 pieces of cakes. Not the kind that had gone moldy before, light yellow, with the smell of food, and a bowl of boiled vegetables. Wang Ning'an grinned, not really good, but he barely made do. Returning to the room, Wang Ningzi sat opposite each other and ate. Cold, not delicious, she said with a flat mouth. Wang Luoxiang gave his younger brother a white glance and said, Don't worry about him, he'll eat when he's extremely hungry. Since the Cui family caused a big fuss, Wang Luoxiang has clearly become closer to his brother and speaks for him everywhere, making Wang Ningzi a little scapegoat. Watching his younger brother Wei Chu Baba's appearance, Wang Ning'an was amused in his heart. He took several pancakes and lit a small stove for boiling water. The flames rose, and he put the pancakes on the fire for a while to bake. The outside was burnt yellow and had a burnt smell, while the inside was steaming hot and soft. Delicious, really delicious. The two little guys eagerly extended their thumbs, and Wang Ning'an smiled proudly. What's this? When I have time, my brother will make you some big dishes from the north and south, so that you can eat enough. In his previous life, besides coding, he had one of the few hobbies that killed Wang Ning'an. Perhaps he was a bit inferior to a chef, but he also had his own strengths. He picked up 2 or 3 samples and told the 2 little ones. They all became interested and begged Wang Ning'an. Just now that he had avenged himself and cleared his grievances, Wang Ning'an was in a good mood. Let's go, brother, take you to catch loaches and come back to make soup. Wang Ning'an pulled his sister and younger brother to the riverbank and chose a shallow spot. He used the river mud to create a bay facing the direction of the flowing water. Before long, loaches would come crashing in. Lying on the grass waiting, the warm sun shining on me, it's so comfortable. My younger sister Wang Luoxiang stared at the nearby road and suddenly said, Why hasn't my mother come back yet? She promised to tell Xiang'er a story. At the age of 6 or 7, there is no child who doesn't want his mother. Wang Ning'an saw his sister sad and quickly shifted his attention, saying, Mother doesn't have a brother who can tell stories. Brag. Wang Luoxiang shook his head, brother only knows how to fish, not how to tell stories. Wang Ningzi grinned and nodded desperately, fish, fish. Wow, dare to underestimate your brother. This is slandering my professional level. Wang Ning'an was filled with indignation and found a stone to sit on. He placed two small things opposite and showed you if I could speak. This story is from the Tang Dynasty, when it was said that there was a farmer named Huang who was not very attractive. People called him Yellow Toad. This old Huang had a talent for divination, but he was not very skilled at it. Wang Ning'an said slowly. This passage was exactly what the great king of stand-up comedy, Lu Baorui, said in his poem, Yellow Half Immortal, but he put time into the Tang Dynasty. Wang Ning'an danced and talked about how old Huang repeatedly ran into a dead mouse with a blind cat, causing the two little ones to clap stones and laugh out loud. Unconsciously, other children playing by the river also approached and listened carefully. When it came to old Huang muttering in the room, hurry up, I'm here. Can you still survive? The eunuch outside, Cui Ying, was so scared that she knelt down and confessed to old Huang that he had stolen the emperor's night pearl. The bear children were all staring with eyes wide open. They dared to swear that they had never heard such an interesting story before and were all fascinated by it. Wang Ning'an didn't notice, and a little old man also approached, shaking his head with relish, occasionally showing a surprised expression. When Wang Ning'an finished speaking, old Huang gritted his teeth and stomped his feet, calling out his nickname, Yellow Toad. You'll die in this box. The emperor heard this and said, He's right again. Suddenly, it sparked a burst of laughter, tears streaming down my face. The little old man suddenly approached Wang Ning'an and said, Brother, I'll buy this joke. A segment of Huang Banxian not only impressed the bear children with Wang Ning'an, but also attracted a young old man who was not tall, had a big mouth, and his eyes were twitching, showing shrewdness, not like a farmer. Uncle, do you want to buy a story? The little old man chuckled. To be honest, I'm going through the streets telling stories. I happened to pass by and wanted to talk about two stories to make a living. I didn't expect the young man to be so good at telling stories. The old man felt inferior and didn't dare to play tricks in this class. The little old man talked a lot and spoke politely. Wang Ning'an was also very polite and smiled, Thank you for your praise. How much can that joke from just now be sold for? Well, the little old man chuckled, Little brother, if this joke is from you, it's okay. If it's heard from somewhere else, the old man won't pay. Wang Ning'an didn't know that storytellers also have the rules of the martial arts world. It's not like hearing a joke and using it casually. Without their permission, they can cause trouble in the yamen. You should know that throughout history, the Great Song Dynasty had the highest level of copyright protection, so it's not a joke. Of course it's mine. If you don't believe me, ask, who else knows? Wang Ning'an was confident. After thinking for a while, the little old man reached into the money bag and took out a string of money, which happened to be consistent with the money. How are these? Wang Ning'an's eyes lit up. He thought the little old man would only take 30 or 50 copper coins at most, but he didn't expect so much to come out. On the contrary, he felt embarrassed. Uncle, what is your surname? My surname is Han. The little old man pointed to his mouth and smiled, the nickname they gave me is also, Toad, just like that Huang Banxian. I'm telling a book at the Sanjiang Tea House in Cangzhou. If you come to Cangzhou, you're welcome to listen to the book. I'm afraid the old man won't be able to catch the eye of the law if he doesn't speak well. Wang Ning'an furrowed his brows slightly. As the saying goes, without money, it's difficult to move forward. Apart from washing away his grievances, he has been pondering how to make money. He wanted to invent something, such as soap and perfume. But he was a giant of words and a dwarf of actions. He didn't know how to do it. What's more, he needed money to do everything. He was clean and powerless. Han Toad's words reminded Wang Ning'an that perhaps selling stories is a good way to make money. Uncle Han, I would like to ask if anyone has taken the script and how much it costs. It's hard to say, there are also expensive ones. The old man heard that someone would ask for a script for 30 or 50 guan. Seeing Wang Ning'an with a question on his face, Han Toad thought he felt that the money was insufficient and quickly said, "Little brother, your story is good, but it's too short. It can only be used as an opening paragraph. It takes a big story to sell at a good price. I'm so old, I won't take advantage of children." Wang Ning'an suddenly laughed and said, "Uncle Han, I think it's not appropriate to ask for the usual amount of money for such a small joke. I'll give you another one." "Oh. What else?" "Listen up." Wang Ning'an talked incessantly and then started talking to Han Toad. As a coder, Wang Ning'an has read a lot of novels and legends from ancient and modern times, from classics to unofficial history, from storytelling to martial arts, and then to fantasy and fantasy, packed with a wealth of knowledge. In the previous life, it was just basic knowledge for coders, but in the Song Dynasty, it became an endless treasure trove for making money. Not to mention anything else, listen to Han Toad's meaning, it's easy to get a few dozen guan. Wang Ninghong pawned his family's horse for 4 guan of money, which was several tens of guan, not a small amount. Of course, Wang Ning'an knew that running out to sell money with a story would definitely not work. Coincidentally, with the help of Han Toad's mouth, he spread his fame and waited for it to become well-known before throwing out the good products. If you want to have a shot, you cannot be vague. Wang Ning'an told Han Toad a story about the bed of Qinxiang. Xiang Zijing was a scholar who went to Beijing to take the imperial examination. He yearned for the brothel, failed the imperial examination, met a singer, and was infatuated with her. When they parted ways, Xiang Zijing pulled out a tooth as a token, pledging to make a mountain alliance and sea oath, and his heart remained unchanged. After Xiang Zijing returned home, he begged his father to bring a precious gift and made a big bed of agarwood. He returned to the capital to marry a singer. Unexpectedly, the other party had already found a new partner. Xiang Zijing was furious and questioned the object of love, but the singer unexpectedly took out a drawer full of teeth. Xiang Zijing repented and burned the agarwood bed on the street. The fragrance lingered for several days. Throughout the capital, it is well known that the young master has feelings, and the singer girl is unjust. She secretly mocks and has no eyes. In the face of sorrow and anger, the singer girl hangs herself on a beam. What a blind and shameless servant! What a self-inflicted act! Han Toad was filled with righteous indignation when he was told. He had also told a lifelong story, and Wang Ning'an's 2 jokes completely surpassed him. If I were to return to Zhangzhou and speak in public, I would ensure that my fame would increase significantly and my natural income would be even richer. Thank you very much, little brother. The old man is extremely grateful. Ha ha ha, it's a small joke. My big jokes are like a cow's hair. If Uncle Han doesn't have any fresh jokes, just come to the Wang family to find me. Okay. Han Toad really wanted to buy a few more, but as soon as dusk approached, he had no money left in his pocket and could only bid farewell temporarily. We have money now. Wang Ning'an shook a large string of copper coins, and both Wang Luoxiang and Wang Ningzi were stunned, their eyes full of small stars. Brother is really amazing. Wang Ning'an didn't expect that selling stories could actually make money. Suddenly, he felt like he had a huge treasure trove in his belly, and he became arrogant. 2 little greedy ghosts, let me show you my brother's craftsmanship. Tomorrow is a new week again, and there are no recommended new books. We can only rely on the big guy's tickets. What a great reward. End of this chapter. Chapter 8. Like son, like father. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 8. Like son, like father. That night, Wang Ning'an personally went to Uncle Wu's house next door. Compared to before, he was much more generous. He bought a bag of millet, a few pancakes, and an old hen from Aunt Wu, which only cost 51 in total. He has always been able to spend enough money for many days. When was the last time I ate meat? It has been at least 2 or 3 months now, and both little ones have forgotten the meat flavor. They surround Wang Ning'an, clapping their hands, laughing and jumping, as if it's been New Year. I can't believe how happy it would be to have a meal of meat. Wang Ning'an stewed a large pot of chicken soup with a small stove for boiling water. The domesticated old hen has a delicious taste, with strong and fragrant meat, especially a layer of yellow chicken oil, which drives the 2 little ones who can't see the meat and smell crazy. Drinking soup and eating meat, an old hen mostly fell into the stomachs of Wang Ning'an and Wang Luoxiang. From now on, just follow your brother and make sure you have meat every time. Wang Ning'an declared proudly. The 2 little guys nodded hard and turned to the sky. Wang Ning'an cooked millet porridge. Yesterday, he left a piece of chicken breast meat, cut it into congee, and ate it with salted duck egg. Wang Ning'an and Wang Luoxiang's stomachs have become balls. Get up, follow your brother out for a walk, you can't eat like a chubby guy. Wang Ning'an didn't go far with his 2 little ones, and the uncle behind him was panting and chasing after him. Erlang, the old lady asked everyone to go to the ancestral hall. Wang Ning'an was taken aback for a moment. He had just gone once, so why did he still have to go? He leaned over to the uncle and curiously asked, "What's up?" Uncle suppressed his laughter and sneered, "Don't ask, anyway, second brother is having a lively time, making him proud. Now he has a big somersault and even has the face to say he's a scholar. He's reading his mind to death." Uncle's pace is fast, afraid of missing out on the good show. Wang Ning'an didn't know why and didn't dare to neglect it. He grabbed 2 small ones and ran to the ancestral hall. As soon as he entered, he saw a middle-aged man in his 30s kneeling on the ground, constantly kowtowing. "Grandma, help your grandson quickly. It's Uncle Air." Wang Ning'an sat on the chair near the door. He stole a look and saw the second Aunt Cui Shi's face was full of tears. Her eyes were red and swollen, like 2 big mantu. It seemed that it was a big deal. "Tell me, how did you owe this 100 guan?" As soon as Mrs. Wang spoke, she scared Wang Ning'an and her eyes widened. "Be good, this second uncle really can spend money." I saw Wang Liangjun kneeling on the ground and saying sadly, "Grandma, my grandson has been studying hard these years. He wants to make friends with famous scholars, hone his knowledge, and spend money together. Let's discuss poetry and Taoism together, and not always let others spend money. It's not dignified. Don't talk nonsense, why did you borrow so much?" Wang Liangjun shivered and said in a low voice, "There are 20 tournaments that my grandson has borrowed in the past 2 or 3 years. Profits roll on, enlevdager, glutinous rice rolls with sweet bean flour. That's 60 tournaments." Mrs. Wang's eyes were angry and her whole body trembled with anger, but fortunately she hadn't lost her sanity yet. "What about the 40 guan?" "Yes, yes, yes." Wang Liangjun pondered and said with a mournful expression, full of grievances, "Grandma, it's not my grandson's fault for this. I'm also kind-hearted and want to repay the money I owe. I heard that someone predicted the result of the dog fighting competition very accurately. My grandson even made money by betting 3 times according to his prediction. This last time, 8 dogs participated in the final, and if he bet, he can not only repay the money, but also earn 200 to 300 guan." Wang Liangjun continued to speak, only to find that everyone in the room had a strange expression on their faces. Big brother Wang Liangjun wanted to laugh but didn't dare to. His wife turned her head away, while the other few younger generations struggled to hold it back. Suddenly, Mrs. Wang sighed and said, "You rebellious son." After speaking, my body straightened back and I was stunned by the anger. Uncle and cousin, the 2 of them fell into the same thing. Wang Ning'an didn't know what to say. My cousin Wang Minghong was just preparing to bet 5 guan of money, but he was also hit by Wang Ning'an. Coer Bo Wang Liangjun made a big move and bet 40 guan all at once. The money was wasted and he owed a huge sum of money. 100 guan, the Wang family is not what they used to be, where can they take it out? Mrs. Wang didn't even have the strength to hit people, so she fainted directly. The big guy rescued the old lady with all his hands and feet, and the old lady's eyes were filled with tears. Take a knife and kill me, out of sight and out of mind. Why don't you guys kill me? The old lady cried uncontrollably, and Wang Liangjun blushed to the neck, but continued to argue. Grandma, it's really not just grandson's mischief. That master is really clever. He got right 3 times in a row, and there were times and times, but no times and times. Can grandson not believe it? Who would have thought that he would miss out on the last time? Wang Liangjun looked bitter and indignant. Mrs. Wang rolled her eyes in anger when she saw that he still didn't admit his mistake. Bo, you've been deceived. Wang Ning'an couldn't help but remain silent. Wang Liangjun glanced at him and angrily rebuked, what do you know about children and families? Of course I understand, the one who sold it to you was a big scammer. Wang Ning'an saw through it, no wonder Wang Ninghong was so unreliable. It turned out that his father was even more unreasonable than him. There's no separation, let these 2 idiots fuss around. It won't be long before the Wang family is doomed. How could that be? Uncle Air was still not convinced. If he were a scammer, why did he get it all right in the first 3 times? I even won money. Mrs. Wang didn't care much anymore and reached out to call Wang Ning'an to her side. Tell Grandma, how did she deceive people? This is not easy, Wang Ning'an finally thought of each other's technique after hearing the 2 uncles' words. Grandma Tai, assuming 2 dogs compete, there must be 1 winning and 1 losing. The result given by that so-called expert must be half written about this one and half written about the other. Assuming that 80 people were deceived by him, after the first attempt, there were only 40 correct ones left, after the second attempt, there were 20 left, and after the third attempt, there were only 10 left. At this point, the lion suddenly opened its mouth and asked these 10 people to pay for the result of the 4th attempt. Since they were right 3 times in a row, by the 4th attempt, they naturally believed it and gave the money to this so-called expert. As a result, he casually wrote a result, and naturally lost everything, being deceived to the point of being solid. I dare say that when he first gave the results, he must have given them for free. He also told you that it may not be accurate, just for fun. If the calculation is not accurate, don't trouble him, let alone talk outside, otherwise the spell will not work. How did you know? Uncle Air exclaimed in surprise. Wang Ning'an's words were as if he had witnessed them with his own eyes. They did indeed say so. If it weren't for being right 3 times in a row, he wouldn't have sacrificed his life. Wang Ning'an explained 3 times in a row, and everyone present finally realized. It's not a spell at all, and there's no magic at all. It's just a little mathematical knowledge that fools Uncle Air around. Wang Liangshuan's whole body was evacuated, and he kept muttering in a daze, how could it be, how could it be? His body retreated, his feet were not careful, and he fell to the ground with a thud. The back of his head hit the ground directly, and his second uncle's leg was covered and he passed out. Chui was so scared that she hugged her husband and cried bitterly. Master, you can't die. You're going to die, how can I live? Chui Shirk cried uncontrollably, heartbroken. Mrs. Wang looked in her eyes and just snorted, don't pretend to be dead. I can't touch you, I can't control you. Wang Liangjuan's eyebrows moved, but he still tightly closed his eyes. Mrs. Wang shook her head and smiled bitterly. If you have time, think about how to repay the money. 100 guan, rolling profits, in less than half a year, it will become 500 guan, 1,000 guan. Second, you've sold our house. Mrs. Wang, who was strong and resolute, burst into tears. Grandma Su, who had been silent beside her, slowly stood up and walked up to Wang Liangjun. She slapped him, arched from left to right, and in a few strokes, she turned Wang Liangjun into a pig's head. Wang Liangjun couldn't pretend to be dead either, so he could only lie on the ground and cry, "Mother, the child is also kind-hearted. The child is all for our family. This time, no matter what, we can't ignore the child. We'll take our family to the top once the child wins the imperial examination in the future." Pu Su, who recites Buddhist scriptures and eats fast, usually refuses to even beat mosquitoes, but today she is fiercely attacking her biological son. "Animal, why do you still want to become a jincher? Our Wang family will sooner or later die in your hands. The more you say, the more angry you become, and your body shakes and falls softly to the ground. What a sin." Mrs. Wang saw her daughter-in-law fall down, and her eyes turned black and she couldn't hold on anymore. Two old ladies, one after another, fainted. The Wang family was in great distress, so they had to quickly seek a doctor to avoid any mishaps. Wang Ning'an withdrew from the temple with his younger siblings. When he arrived at his own house, he thought for a moment and took out the usual money, stuffing it into his stinky shoes. Even if the thief saw it, he promised not to move. "I don't blame Wang Ning'an for being a chicken thief, it's really heartless. Uncle Heir owes so much money, it must be counted on the Wang family. If he doesn't pay it back, the Wang family may not be able to keep it. Those who dare to lend are all ruthless and capable of doing anything. At this time, don't leave any private money, be careful to run to the street and drink the northwest wind." Although he is a relative, Wang Ning'an is really speechless towards his second uncle's family. If he can take good care of the two little ones, he is worthy of his conscience. Lying in bed, Wang Ning'an kept pondering, thinking that the Wang family had been in trouble. 100 guan, I'm afraid I have to take out all the real estate and farmland. The old lady just nodded and asked herself to go to a private school to study, but it seemed hopeless. In the end, we still need to test ourselves and find ways to make money. I don't know how Han Toad's thread works. If he could sell a few more notebooks for tens of guan, he wouldn't be afraid of anything. Wang Ning'an kept calculating. End of this chapter. Chapter 9. Dad returns. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 9. Dad returns. The wind and rain in the house were bleak, but it didn't affect Wang Luoxiang and Wang Ningza at all. The two little ones had enough to eat and drink, not to mention being too energetic. They spread joy in the yard, venting their excess energy, carefree, and truly enviable. Wang Ningza shouted, "Drive, drive." He ran happily when suddenly someone hugged his waist from behind and lifted him into mid-air. The little guy was so scared that he quickly turned around, and what caught his eye was a face with a scruffy beard, smiling at him. "Good kid, it's sunk quite a bit." "Dad." Seeing my dad, the suppressed longing erupted in my heart, and my chubby little hand wrapped around his chin. The little one was still a bit confused and couldn't figure out what had happened, but his older brother was beaten, his second aunt ran to the house to make a scene, and his cousin was beaten again, all of which made the little one feel scared. He threw himself into his father's arms, ignoring the stubble, rubbing around and sobbing incessantly. Wang Lianjing's nose was sore, he patted his son's back, took a few steps, and then picked up Wang Luoxiang again. "Xianger, where's your brother?" "It's inside." Wang Liangjing walked in quickly and saw Wang Ning'an lying in bed. He was so scared that he quickly put down the two small ones and let them continue playing. "Hurry up a few steps, pick up Wang Ning'an, and reach out to take off his clothes. Let Dad see how you're doing now." Suddenly being hugged by a man who was about to strip off his clothes, Wang Ning'an struggled with a black line on his face and said, "I'm fine, I'm really fine." Wang Liangjing didn't know why, so he thought his son was angry in his heart. He let go of the conversation and looked very unhappy. "Alas, it's all my dad's fault. If I had known what happened to my second sister-in-law, I should have taken you with me. You wait, Dad will go to my second sister-in-law to argue." "Don't." Wang Ning'an stopped cheap Dad and said, "It's better not to go. Second uncle's mother is not in a good mood. Is she in a bad mood? Am I in a good mood? Don't be afraid, it's up to your father this time. No one can bully you. Wang Liangjing got angry. He accompanied his wife to see off his father-in-law and hurriedly returned home. As he passed by Cangzhou, he happened to meet his neighbor Uncle Wu, who went to Cangzhou to deliver goods. Uncle Wu told Wang Liangjing that it was Wang Ning'an who was beaten by his second aunt because he lost his horse, but the horse was not lost by Wang Ning'an. Uncle Wu saw that Wang Ninghong had taken the horse and revealed it to Wang Liangjing. Cui Shi is the daughter-in-law of the Wang family, and it is not a small matter that she mistreated the descendants of the Wang family. Wang Liangjing was so angry that he screamed loudly, wanting to discipline and beat people. At least when he returned, he made it clear that he was bullying people. He asked his wife to slowly drive back, borrowed a donkey himself, and quickly returned home. Humph, even though she's my second sister-in-law, it's not her turn to teach the children of the Wang family a lesson. Ning'an, don't be afraid, Dad will definitely vent his anger on you. Although Wang Ning'an has been complaining about his cheap father for so many days, his concern is not fake, and Wang Ning'an's heart is warm. Dad, he let out a low cry, it's better not to go. God has already punished me. What are you saying? Wang Liangjing was confused. Wang Ning'an briefly recounted the matter, and the key point was that Erbo was deceived and owed 100 guan at once, which made Wang Liangjing dumbfounded. I really agreed to that sentence, wilting makes a leopard. The second brother is usually gentle and elegant, full of knowledge and wisdom. He has a high level of knowledge and a clever mind. None of the brothers look down on him, just his abilities. Such a shrewd person, how could he have caused such a big mess? 100 guan, how can we repay it? Wang Liangjing felt dizzy in waves. While still feeling foolish, suddenly someone knocked on the door, and it was Uncle who came. It's Lao Si who has returned. Grandma asked you to go over and discuss it. Oh, Wang Liangjing nodded and turned to Wang Ning'an, you stay for now. I'll talk to you later. Wang Lianggui suddenly said, let Ning'an go too. This kid is very clever. After just over a day of hard work, the old lady from the Wang family has clearly aged a lot. She leans against the bed, exhausted from energy, with a towel on her head and weak in her speech. It's little four back. Seeing his grandmother's appearance, Wang Liangjing felt very uncomfortable and suppressed his sadness. Grandma, are you okay? Ah, I can't die. The old lady sighed and said, are you all here? The second person made a big mistake and borrowed 100 guan. If he doesn't repay it quickly, the lender won't let him go. Wang Liangjun was like a chicken pecking at rice, nodding incessantly. Grandma is right, you can't ignore your grandchildren and watch me fall into a fire pit. Ah, it's all a family, let's carry it together. First, find out all my dowry, and the boss and the fourth person will also find a way to help the second person no matter what. As for the second person, from now on, you and Ninghong will work hard to farm and earn this money back. Ah. Wang Liangjuan's head hummed, isn't this finished? Grandma, my grandson can't help but study. After so many years, my grandson has suffered a lot. As long as he can get into the state school and study hard for a few years, he may be able to shine and honor his ancestors. Shut up. The old lady's sharp gaze was sharper than a knife. Just do as I say. After coming out of the old lady's room and not walking too far, the uncle caught up and said in a muffled voice, what's this called? The old lady is still pointing to dowry. It's been decades old, and it's not worth any money. Even if there are some good things, they were taken away by Cui Shi. In recent years, she has been giving our families things a lot. According to me, this time we must sell the land. Have you really reached that point? Wang Liangjing stopped in fear. Big brother, selling land is easy, but it's difficult to buy it back. Who said it's not? The second one has killed our family this time. Wang Lianggui was heartbroken. The fourth one, there's only one way, it depends on whether you're willing or not. Big brother, please speak up. Split up. Separation. Wang Liangjing exclaimed in shock. That's right, calculate everything about farmland and real estate, let the second person bear the debt, at least we should not get less farmland. Wang Liangqian said with confidence. Big brother, it's probably not appropriate to divide the family. If others don't joke about it, there are also mothers and grandmothers who are not in good health. If there is any mistake, we will all become unfilial sons. Fourth, what do you mean by us? It's second. He caused such a big problem, can't it drag on the big guy? Do you want to repay his debt? Think about it carefully. Uncle finished speaking and hurriedly left. Returning to the room, Wang Liangjing had a mix of flavors. Split. He never dreamed of it. The Wang family is a 4-generation family that everyone envies. Is it because we owe 100 guan that our descendants will prosper and fall apart? I really can't accept it. But this time my second brother was too wrong. If we don't split up and shoulder the debt together, maybe all the other houses will be crushed. Looking at the lively children, Wang Liangjing couldn't bear to let them suffer. What exactly should we do? Perhaps it's not that bad, Wang Ning'an whispered. What, you have a way? Dad asked in surprise. Well, Erbo owes 100 guan, of which 60 guan were borrowed over the years, and the most devastating one was the 40 guan he lost for fighting dogs. If we can repay these 40 guan first and merge the remaining 60 guan, perhaps there is a way. Just 40 guan may have a solution. Our family can at least come up with 20 or 30 guan, borrow some money from someone, and the autumn harvest will be in a few months. Wang Liangjing calculated and suddenly shook his head. Ning'an, you don't understand. The lenders must know our family's financial situation. After taking out 40 guan, our family will have nothing left. They will definitely force us to sell our land and property at a low price, so they can take advantage of it and eat it hard. Dad's brain is not stupid yet. He knows that people who lend money are dark-hearted, and taking advantage of the fire to rob is their usual method. The more embarrassed they are, the more they will force them to repay. In other words, they will drink human blood and suck on the marrow. Maybe you don't have to leave home, Wang Ning'an said. With the tricks of a scammer, if you want to cheat more money, you have to cast a wide net, so there must be many people who have been deceived. Maybe the Yamen has already established a case, and if you can recover the money that was cheated, the pressure will be much less. Yeah, I should go report to the government. I didn't expect it. Wang Liangjing slapped his thigh. Ordinary people are most afraid of the government, and his legs tremble at the sight of officials. If it weren't for Wang Ning'an's reminder, he would have never imagined it. I'll go tell my second brother to report to the Yamen. Wang Liangjing ran away. In the afternoon, the old lady sat in Uncle Wu's carriage and rushed back home. She saw 3 children and was very happy. Wang Luoxiang and Wang Ningze were much cleaner than before and more likable. However, Wang Ning'an refused to let the old lady hold them no matter what. Such a big child, you still recognize him. Bai pretended to be angry, but the father understood his son very well. The child has grievances in his heart. He told his wife about it, and when Bai heard that his son was wronged, tears rolled around his eyes. Ning'an has suffered. Bai hugged Wang Ning'an's head and cried for a long time. The family of 5 reunited, enjoying themselves happily. 2 days passed in the blink of an eye, and everyone in the Wang family was worried. Apart from the faces of Wang Ningze and Wang Luoxiang, there was no trace of a smile on their faces. In the evening, suddenly my second uncle Wang Liangjun came back. As soon as he got home, he brought all his family members Wang Liangjun and Wang Liangjing over. Big brother, fourth brother, be a good man when it comes to work. If I owe money, I should be left to carry it on my own. As Big Brother said, I will divide the family immediately. Wang Liangjun patted his chest and swore, full of courage, startling both Wang Lianggui and Wang Liangjing. He thought to himself that the second brother had taken the wrong medicine. A few days ago, he refused to split up and asked everyone to take responsibility for him. How did he become so manly today? What a strange thing. End of this chapter. Chapter 10. Division of production without division of ownership, recommended. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 10 Division of production without division of ownership, recommended. Returning from his second brother's room, Wang Liangjing had a worried expression on his face. A good family is about to break up, I'm really unfilial. Wang Liangjing pounded his chest hard, making a thumping sound, feeling ashamed. My wife Bai's face was not good. Looking either. She didn't want to split up, but rather felt sorry for her child. At night, she held on to Wang Luoxiang and asked him intermittently for more than an hour, clarifying what had happened after leaving home. Bai was so angry that he stayed up all night, and his eyeballs were swollen and red. It's good to divide the family, it should have been separated long ago. Sigh. Wang Liangjing sighed hard, don't be angry either. Second brother has had bad luck this time and owes so much money. I don't know how to repay it. Wang Liangjing hesitated and kept peeking at his wife, as if she had something to say on her tongue, unable to say anything and unable to wipe it off her face. Having lived with her husband for over a decade, Bai sure is not sure what he is thinking. In an instant, his face turned black and he angrily said, I can tell you, don't have any crooked ideas. Wang Liangjing became even more difficult. No matter how bad he is also my second brother. If I can help him, I still need to help him. No. Bai raised her voice 8 degrees, tears streaming down her face. Home. You only have brothers in your eyes, so we don't have our mothers. Ning'an has suffered so much this time, and when I think about it, my heart feels like a knife cutting. These 2 storefronts were left by my father for his grandson. In a few days, he will send Ning'an to school. If he can study, he will study. If he can't, he will quickly find a wife to start a family and start a business. Ning'an is also 4 or 5 years old, and it's time for a wealthy family to be confused. You can't bear to have your son suffer and be poor for a lifetime. Bai sure snatched a few words, and Wang Liangjing's face turned red and his ears turned red. He looked up and shook his head in pain for a long time. Forget it, just divide it. After a moment of silence, Wang Liangjing said again, second brother encountered difficulties. Anyway, when dividing the family, we should let him know more. Do you think so? At this point, could Bai refute it? She could only exclaim angrily, anyway, I'm from a different surname and can't share your family's money. With those 2 shops, it's enough for the children to use. I don't care about your family's affairs. The biggest obstacle to splitting the family was originally Wang Liangjun. Suddenly, the 2 of them agreed, and Uncle Wang Liangjun naturally agreed with 100 people, urging them up and down. Although his father Wang Liangjing was unwilling, there was nothing he could do. The Wang family gathered together in the ancestral hall again, and after only 2 or 3 days, Mrs. Wang became much more haggard, with more age spots on her face and sparse and messy hair, which made Wang Liangjing's eyes turn red. Grandma, it's all our grandchildren who are unfilial and let our elders worry about us. Alas, I haven't had a few comfortable days in my life. She looked up at my second uncle Wang Liangjun and said in almost pleading language, second brother, do you really have to split up? Wang Liangjun gritted his teeth and said, Grandma, there's nothing we can do about it. Neither the eldest brother or the 4th brother is willing to repay the debt on behalf of the grandson, and the grandson doesn't want to implicate them either. As a good man, let's split up. Mrs. Wang remained silent for a long time, then looked at her daughter-in-law, Su Shi. Su Shi was also in her 50s and looked at her energy and spirit, which was even worse than Mrs. Wang's. "Mother, there's nothing my daughter-in-law can say, it's just that although my second son made a mistake, he still feels a bit responsible. We can't let the child suffer too much." Mrs. Wang nodded helplessly and said, divide it all clean." Wang Liangxuan and his wife exchanged a glance, took out a document from their arms, and smiled as they presented it to uncle. "Big brother, take a look. This is the separation document drafted by my younger brother. If you agree, you can draw the seal." Wang Lianggui held it in his hand, not very literate. He reluctantly read the main idea and wanted to draw the seal, but hesitated. "Fourth, take a look too." Wang Liangjing reached out to take it and said with a black face, "I don't recognize words, so it's worth reading." He looked up at Wang Liangjun and said, "Second brother, let's think of another way. By the way, didn't you go to the Yamen to complain? What did the government say? If we can recover the money, maybe." Wang Liangjun waved his hand and impatiently said, "Fourth brother, head south at the Yamen gate. If you have reason or no money, don't come in. If you want the official to make the decision for us, that's just a dream. You better hurry up and sign it." Wang Liangjing hesitated in his heart. When he went to tell his second brother to report to the Yamen, he was extremely grateful and caught a life-saving straw. How could it be that in just 2 days, his face changed and he became very impatient? Is it really strange? He was puzzled and hesitated to write. Cui Shi sneered, his fourth uncle, "Are you willing to pay for us?" Wang Liangjing's face turned red, so he had to pick up his pen. Just as he was about to draw an inscription, he found that one hand had grabbed his wrist. "Is it Ning'an? Don't be busy yet." Wang Ning'an held the document in his hand, looked at it once, and suddenly chuckled, "Second uncle, do you want my father and uncle to go to jail?" Wang Liangjun was furious and said, "Is there any place for you to interrupt when adults are speaking?" Wang Liangjing didn't know why, so he quickly grabbed his son and scolded, "Ning'an, what are you talking about? I'm not talking nonsense. The court has its own laws and regulations and it comes to different places of origin and wealth. If parents and elders are present, their descendants who come from different places of origin and wealth will be punished for 3 years. If grandparents and parents order different places of origin and wealth to be punished for 2 years, their descendants will not sit down. This means that if parents are present, their descendants propose to divide the family and property, they will be sentenced to 3 years in prison, and if parents order to divide the family and wealth, they will be punished for 2 years, which has nothing to do with their descendants. Today, both my great-grandmother and great-grandmother are present. If my father and uncle draw a pledge, it will be the 2 of them who demand different places of origin and wealth," but after Wang Ning'an finished speaking, he threw the document onto the table and retreated behind Wang Liangjing. Without further ado, Wang Liangjing jumped up and gritted his teeth in anger. "Okay, you second son. What are you so worried about? If we don't help you pay off your bad debts, we will frame us. How could your heart be so ruthless? Fortunately, Ning'an is clever and sees the problem, otherwise we would all be deceived by you." Wang Liangxuan's face turned red when he was scolded. After reading for more than a decade, he didn't know about the law of wealth in different hometowns. Based on the concept of governing the country with benevolence and filial piety, there were strict restrictions on separating families and dividing wealth throughout history. Especially for some children, in order to compete for property after the death of their parents, they even disregarded the funeral of the elderly and showed no filial piety. There are also brothers who got into a big fight over their property, causing casualties. In order to prevent such a situation, there are strict regulations in the Song Criminal Code regarding foreign wealth. Of course, regulations are regulations. As the saying goes, it is difficult for a clean official to handle household affairs, and the phenomenon of separating families is still very common. The government also turns a blind eye to it. But after all, illegality is illegality. Although we have only been in contact for a few days, Wang Ning'an is not afraid to speculate on the Erbo family with the worst malice. They suddenly went out of their usual way, planning to split up, and there were ghosts inside. Wang Ning'an doesn't know what their calculations are, but be careful and there won't be any mistakes. How could there be so much attention to detail? In recent years, there have been fewer separated families. When did the Yamen manage it? That's different. Wang Ning'an chuckled lightly and said, "Isn't it true that Uncle Heir still needs to take the imperial examination to honor his ancestors? Carrying the charge of separating families on his back is a lifelong stain. If he were caught by the imperial censor, his lifelong achievements would be ruined. He wouldn't be careless." Wang Ning'an certainly did not believe that Erbo had any hope of winning the Chan Palace. He was planning for himself. After all, he had written historical texts in his previous life and had a clear understanding of some ancient rules. Wang Liangjing wouldn't use such sinister intentions to speculate about his second brother, but he also knew that caution was better. "Second brother, it's true that neither my elder brother nor I can propose a separation." Wang Liangshuan was so angry that he gave Wang Ning'an a fierce glare. Wang Ning'an was not afraid either and looked at him with a big face. "Fourth brother, if you don't want to, then you'll have to ask Grandma to draw the inscription." "What?" Mrs. Wang was so angry that she slapped her table and got up. "If you want to split up, it's enough not to stop you." She even took the initiative to order. "Dream it." Besides, Wang Ning'an just said that even if the elders order a separation, it will take 2 years of apprenticeship. "Second, do you want to kill Grandma?" Mrs. Wang sighed and felt deeply saddened. "What's wrong with this? What's wrong with me?" Wang Liangjun and Cui Shi exchanged glances, and Cui Shi couldn't help but sob. "Grandma, we naturally don't want to split up, but our eldest brother and fourth brother are forcing us, and we have no choice." The pot fell on the heads of Wang Liangjing and Wang Lianggui, and Wang Lianggui had a dark face, thinking that he wanted to split up. He looked up and saw Wang Ning'an. By the way, this kid was just talking incessantly, maybe he had an idea. "Ning'an, what do you want to do?" Wang Ning'an has had enough of the two uncles and their family, so if he can divide it, he can quickly divide it to avoid being implicated by them. "Uncle, according to the court's rules, grandparents and parents who order their children to be separated will be punished, but causing the younger generation to have different wealth will not be held responsible. Wealth can be divided without dividing the family, and each house can bear its own expenses. Of course, the money earned will also be enjoyed by oneself. After all, Uncle San is not at home, and if he dares to divide the family, his share of property will not be easy to handle." Wang Ning'an pondered and said. After listening to his words, Wang Lianggui patted his thigh and said, "That's it. Hurry up and divide the family property. I can't wait." End of this chapter.